Hi, everybody. It's Dr. Lori. This is Ask Dr. Lori Live. This is where you get to ask me whatever questions you want. So you have me at your disposal. Thanks for joining me. And we're going to answer the big question, which is it valuable? Have you seen this on the community tab here on YouTube and also on Facebook? This particular piece, well, I found it when I was, of course, taping for the Thrift With Me series that we're doing. And I was at the Cobb Antique Mall doing that taping. If you want to know the exact information about it, the correct information and the correct value, I'm going to tell you about it at the end of this video. That's right. If you're watching on the replay and you don't want to listen about all the information that I'm giving to the community, you don't want to participate in the community, just go ahead to the end and get the information for yourself. But I hope you'll join us here in the community because we have a lot of fun, particularly here and, of course, at my classes and during my video calls too. So it's good to see everybody. What questions have you got for me? I'm here at your disposal. Atlanta, Georgia. That's right. I was recently in Atlanta doing events and also doing taping for the channel. And wow, fantastic objects and some great bargains. Holy moly, what bargains there were in Atlanta. That's right. That's terrific. Yeah, we're getting the party started for Steph and all the rest of you. So those of you who I've been talking to, it's good to see you here as well. So, and thanks so much for being part of the social media channels. And don't forget the community tab right here on YouTube. Again, one of the most important parts of course, the YouTube channel is the Dr. Lori V YouTube channel search feature. You can search for whatever you're looking for right there. You have a 1976 Gibson Les Paul custom guitar. That's great. I can appraise that guitar, that particular guitar, and others that, of course, are Les Paul guitars. Very desirable and valuable. Some of the characteristics for those guitars include, of course, the type of case, the age of the piece, and, of course, condition. So remember those questions. We want to make sure those questions relate to everybody. So if you have a question for me, I'm happy to answer it. You need to do an appraisal of it? Oh, that's easy. You need to send me a photo. And you can send a photo right from the webpage at drloriv.com. It's very easy. You see the little send photo button. It's a little icon of a camera. Click it, fill out the form. It's short, but I need that information and submit the photos. I'll get back to you with information about it. So I hope that helps. Hello, Lourdes from New Jersey. You got the Jersey girls are in the house. That's terrific. Nice to see all of you. And I love to see where everybody's from. I love to see that. So thanks for that too. If jewelry is magnetic, is it worth anything, including the time to test? Oh, okay. Well, typically, if jewelry is magnetic, that oftentimes means that it is made of a base metal rather than gold, for example. So is it worth anything? Of course, it is worth something. Everything's worth something. So other characteristics go into it. I talk about jewelry, particularly the type of jewelry you're talking about, which would be costume jewelry, here on the channel. You can search the channel for costume jewelry, and you'll find all the videos, several hundred of them, about many topics, including, of course, costume jewelry. So, yep, I would take the time to test it. Yep, it's worth something. That's for sure. So don't let the magnet fool you. What is end of day glass? How do I recognize it? Hi, Cheryl. End of day glass is the glass or the products of glass that are produced from the leftovers from other colored glass that's made throughout the day. So at the end of the day, which is why they call it end of day, those pieces of glass are actually put together and usually mixed together to make other pieces of glass. They're usually very multicolored. Sometimes they're very, very one color and just a little bit of other colors. They're always quite attractive, and they kind of are seen as sort of the missing child of blown glassware, but very popular end of day glass. Thanks for asking that question. That helps everybody. I appreciate that. That's terrific. Is scratch test silver bad for the piece of jewelry? You know, a lot of people do scratch tests. People do them in inconspicuous areas of a piece of jewelry, but I have to say personally, I'm not, it can give you some good information. Let me say that. But if I had a piece of jewelry and I'm going to buy it and it has a big scratch on it, I don't feel so great about it. So be aware if you're going to do it, very, very small, try to be careful and try to do it in an inconspicuous area. But they do work. Scratch tests do work. Thank you very much for all of your comments. And I thank you for your watching the videos. I appreciate that too. Waterford has been marked for a very, very long time. Of course, the crystal manufacturer. And yes, you can find very good pieces of Waterford that are marked. So if you think you have a piece of Waterford, but it's not marked, the mark might have disappeared over time. I want to thank you for super chats and super stickers as they come in. That helps to support the channel and the fine work that we do. Well, I think it's fine work. I hope you do too. But thank you very much, Paige. I appreciate that so much. And I am glad that the video calls are fun, and I'm glad that the video calls are helpful. The classes and the video calls are really a lot of fun. The community comes together in that class with appraisal. So if you haven't had a chance to join us in one of the class and appraisal classes, come with us, because we have a whole lot of fun at those classes. And of course, the selling class, very, very popular as well. And I want to thank you all for your support, and you can show your support. Thank you, as of course, Timeless Jewels by Deborah is showing through, helping us here. So thank you very much for that super chat and super sticker. If you don't know how to do that, I understand that too. But you watch the videos. That will help you. That will help me. But basically, that will help all of us, and that's what we want to see. I'm very happy to do that. Hi, Lori. I have a piece of china that has a shield or a beehive on it. Can you talk about that mark a little? I can. The marks sometimes look like different things. So you've got this piece of china and you put it to the underside, and on the bottom it has this mark that kind of looks like a sled, or kind of looks like a beehive, or kind of looks like this or that. And there's a lot of these sites that you'll look for. Oftentimes that beehive form is a form for Austrian china. That's very common. However, others who are trying to copy Austrian china, who are not Austrian china, are basically using similar marks. So now you have to look not only at the mark, but you also have to look at the type of work, the quality of the work, as well as if it's hand painted or gilded or such. So yes, those marks can be that. Sometimes people will say, oh, it's a shield, and other times will say, oh, it's a beehive. Depending on how the object looks, that's how you're able to identify what it is, in addition to the mark. I always say the marks are great. Everybody loves the marks. Don't only rely on the marks, okay? You have to also be able to identify the piece by looking at it, and that's what I'm showing you in these videos. I'm saying to you, I'm looking at this piece. Here's this piece. You should be able to identify that it's English because of these characteristics. You should be able to identify that this piece of china is American because those characteristics. The more you start to watch, the more you start to digest this information, you're going to be able to say, oh, I can do that. I can do it just like Dr. Lori. I'm going to teach you how. If I can't find anyone who adequately values my globes. Really? Well, who are you looking for? I mean, here I am adequately valuing your globes. I'm assuming they're desk globes, correct? Or are they globes that are on the top of lamps? So I don't know which globes you're talking about, but I can appraise both of them. So I don't know where you're looking. You're all searching for this appraiser, and I'm right in front of you. Hi, Nadra. How are you? I love you too. And thank you very much for your support. I appreciate it a lot. So good to see all of you. I'm glad you're all doing so well. I think that's great. Lots of stuff. Fran, when a piece of glassware has a seam line, is that what it is? Is that what is called pressed glass? Okay. Molded glass, pressed glass, pieces of glass like that may have a seam or may not have a seam. So piece of pressed glass may not have a seam. So don't only look for the seam, but most pieces that have seams are pressed or molded. Yep. So trying to get the language down is a good idea. And of course, I show you examples in the video. So those of you who said, oh, you don't do a video on that, I'm like, well, I think I do. So I'd like you to use the search feature there. And of course, this is the place to ask those questions, because you don't have anybody else who's going to give you this kind of 25 years of experience and the degrees, and also give you an open forum to ask these questions. So when people say, oh, she's not doing this, she's only chatting tonight, I'm answering your questions. Who else is? So I want to make sure that you get the information that you need. So that's basically what I want to make sure that you do. But terrific turnout tonight. I hope I've been able to help a lot with the videos as well as with the information on the website. A lot of folks miss the website. And of course, the newsletter. The newsletter is free. Sign up for the newsletter, because the newsletter is free and it comes to your inbox All you have to do is sign up. Hi, Susan. Does mid-century maple furniture of good quality hold much value? Yes, mid-century may not be modern. That's the funny thing about 1950s and 1960s maple furniture. It may not be very modern looking, but as opposed to mid-century modern, but maple furniture, in fact, of good quality, and sometimes it's called rock maple because it's heavy as heck, can be very desirable and valuable. Sometimes for folks who just love the look, had the look in grandma's house or mom's house and said, oh, I love the look, I want it. Some for the durability of it, because unlike, MDF, medium density fiberboard, it's not going to fall apart in a year and a half. It's going to be there for a while. And some of the DIYers, the real skilled repurposers, they like it because they can do new things with it and it's solid. So yes, the solidity, the substantive nature of it, the hard wood, because it's solid hard wood is what it's made of, as well as the quality of it is what makes it valuable. Style's important, but it's not the only thing. Great question. Thank you. A lot of people have that. Oh, I have 7 crystal wine glasses, some with the sticker still on them. Okay. I believe you said it's better to sell even numbers. Should I sell them as 6 or 7? Well, what's the even number? The even number 6. You can give the 7th one to the people as a nice gesture if you want to. Give it to the buyer if you want to. But typically in Western country, in the Western world, for example, in United States, yeah, it would be even number 6. Hola, hola, amigo, hola. So nice to see everybody from all over the world. So, Dr. Lurie, can you tell me about Larder and Sons jewelry? It's a women's ring. I can only find men's jewelry. That happens with a lot of jewelers. Very interesting. That happens with a lot of jewelers where you're only finding predominantly one type. And that has to do with the fact that a lot of these pieces don't come onto the market. Larder and Sons, of course, Larder and Sons made both, any kind of jewelry, right? And they were also manufacturers for other jewelers. So be aware of that. A lot of jewelry manufacturers are making and designing for others, in order to supplement their income in many ways. But yes, you can find women's and men's jewelry. But yes, it's true that you'll find more of men's jewelry. Swank is like that too. You'll find predominantly male jewelry, or cufflinks and those kinds of things in that time. My nose is so itchy. I put on, you powder your nose. I put that on. I'm very itchy now. I'm sorry I did it. I wish I just came here with a red nose. Anyway, Dr. Lurie, how Noritake vases aren't worth more? They were mass produced or something. Well, I don't really understand your question, Robert. How Noritake vases aren't worth more? Were they mass produced or something? Oh, now I got your question. All right. Well, Noritake vases, there were a lot of them. So, and there are a lot of them in the market. So that's 2 reasons. And the other thing you have to remember is, of course, what's in vogue when, right? So a lot of pieces will fall in and out of favor. The values rise, the markets go down. So a lot of it has to do with that. But Noritake is a good quality China manufacturer. And I would say if you have one, hang on to it. If the market isn't advisable for you right now, it's not really doing what you want it to do, you might want to hold. Nothing wrong with that. A lot of the best collectors, resellers, and of course, dealers and such will actually say, well, I got to hold for a while on this particular piece. Otherwise, I'm not going to get the money I should get out of it. So I advise people on all different aspects of the market and in the selling classes how to sell. So, Sharon, I have some green glasses that I was told are boopy glasses. I can't find anything on them. Do you know what they are? Okay, a couple of different things about these glasses. I'd like to see a picture because a lot of people will mistake certain glasses, particularly Culver and other glasses, for that particular term. So I'd like to see a picture. So you can send that picture to the website. Yep. I have a pendant. I was told it's dragon's claw. Could you tell me something about it? Yeah, sometimes there are actually Native American pieces and also in some Asian pieces where you see actually bear claw or other types of animal claws. Sometimes they call them dragon's claw. Oftentimes pendants relate to a form or a decorative sort of style of a particular time period. Dragon's claw was very popular in the 1960s, 70s, 80s. Yep. So they're interesting. They're not always, depending on what material they really are, they're not always of super high value. but I'd like to see it. I'd like to see it. So, and I want to make sure that you guys have a good opportunity to ask those questions that you really are sitting there going, I have this piece, I don't really know. I want to know if this is valuable. I'm wondering about this. I've been trying to learn about that. Yes, I do value old postage stamps. European postage stamps, South American postage stamp, and of course, American postage stamps can be very valuable. Oh, Hermes scarf. Wow, nice. That, we had one, Real Bargains. If you're watching the Real Bargains videos, a woman was in my class with appraisals and actually found one at a thrift store. She was making crafts with old scarves and found one that was Hermes. And that one was upwards over $1,000. I'd need to see yours to be able to evaluate it. I need to look at it for condition. I need to look at it for the pattern, as well as the authentication characteristics, which I do with all of those types of high-end designer pieces. So Niagara Brothers, Max and Norbert Bueller often misidentified. A lot of jewelry is often misidentified. But typically we will see jewelry misidentified. I think Juliana is misidentified the most. But yeah, I've seen this misidentified maybe 30% of the time it's misidentified. So not a big number, but it happens. Yeah, it happens. Do you have a piece that you're questioning? Is that the situation? Why wouldn't you ask me? So I'm glad you're asking. That's great. So questions are coming in from near and far. So let's see. Somebody thinks I'm pre-recorded, which cracks me up. I'm not pre-recorded. I'm sitting here. It's 7:23 Eastern time in Pennsylvania, and I am not pre-recorded. So you're not watching the replay. You're watching me. I'm live. I'll move around a little bit so you know I'm live. There you go. Such broad questions. Anything can be valuable. Maybe be more specific for her to be able to give a great answer. All right, Gail. Gail wants more specifics. I want questions that will help everybody. Not, oh, look at my painting that no one else has and tell me about mine. But I understand her like this. So Gail started I have a Heinrich Hartong oil on canvas painting. Now you want to know the value. I want to know, what subject is it? Is it a landscape? Is it a portrait? Is it a still life? Is it in good condition? Is it oil on canvas? Is it oil on board? Is it signed by the artist? Is it dated by the artist? Is it titled by the artist? Is it characteristic of his mature style? Are there any losses of pigment or such? Okay, so that's why I like to see a photo. How can you tell which painting on canvas is by Japanese painters is worth or valuable? Any clue what to look for? Okay, so you have a painting that you know to be by a Japanese artist, and you don't know if it's valuable. Okay, first of all, you need to know the background of the artist. You need to know how big the painting is. You need to know whether or not the painting is on silk or on a different type of support. What does that mean? Is it on a different textile, not silk, or is it on paper or something else? That's called the support. You need to know time period. You need to know provenance. Who owned it before you did? Was it part of an exhibition, a museum collection? Was it ever publicly displayed? Those kinds of factors go into the evaluation, as well as where have similar pieces by this artist sold and for how much. So there's a lot to look for, Very good question. I think that's very helpful. I heard you talk about certain puzzles being very valuable. What kind of puzzles to look for? Jennifer, when you're looking for puzzles, there are different types of puzzles that are pretty valuable. First of all, early 20th century puzzles, they're blocks, actually, and there would be a puzzle image on each side of the block. So, the block has all the different sides. Oh, here's a block. The block has all different sides. So each side has an actual image on it. And then you place the blocks next to each other to make the full image, right, of the puzzle. Those are very desirable. They're early 20th century, like 1900, 1915. Also, puzzles that are actually wooden cutout puzzles can be very valuable. And Asian puzzle boxes are very desirable too and valuable. So those are 3 types to look for. Hope that helps. Great. How do you date Majolica? You date Majolica by the form, by the glaze, by the colors, and sometimes, like if you have a piece of Majolica by Minton, right? Majolica, then you're going to be able to identify it and date it by the manufacturer. But you don't always have the manufacturer, so that's why you need the other 3 things. I hope this is helping all of you become better identifiers, better thrifters, and of course, better collectors and resellers if you're a reseller. Thank you very much, Tammy, for your super chat and super sticker. This is how we are able to continue and support the channel. And like everybody else who's having hard times, we appreciate your help too. So thank you very much for remembering us and the work that I do for you. And I'm happy to do it. I have a vintage tray for a samovar, okay, with no markings. What are they? How can you tell where it's from? And are they worth money without the samovar? Okay. Samovars, for those of you who don't know what they are basically tea urns. They're tea serving urns. They're usually brass. They're sometimes copper. They're sometimes less frequently silver. Relatively large. They have, of course, the spigot spout. And they usually have a tray underneath them. So you can put a cup in front of that spigot and you can get your tea out of it. Okay. A lot of them are made in Russia. And sometimes the actual plates match and sometimes they don't. So if you only have the tray, but you don't have the full samovar, the tray could be unmarked, yes. And the tray can also be utilized for something else, like a trinket tray, or it could be used as a coaster or such. Basically, it is a coaster, only it's under a samovar. Could be rather big, depending how big your samovar is. If it's unmarked, you'd have to actually connect it, whether it's by design or by medium, that's the type of metal it is, to a samovar like it and see whether or not you can match it up. It doesn't really have to be matched if you're not trying to get the samovar. Is it worth something without the samovar? It's worth something, but it's worth more with the samovar. Instead of telling me what things are worth, would you consider just telling me what exactly my objects are so I would know where to begin my research? Sure. Yeah. But if you want an appraisal, I have to tell you I have to correctly identify your objects. And then I have to give you an evaluation of the appraised value based on actual sales records where similar pieces sold in the market recently. That's an appraisal. So it's not just one thing. Like everyone goes, that's just a value. It's just a value. It's not just a value. I have to correctly identify it first. And a lot of the places where you're going to start your research may or may not be giving you the right information. Thank you very much, Lori. Our loyal followers are very important, of course, very important to me and very important to us and very important to us continuing. So thank you very much for that. I appreciate that. Faux designer bags are getting really good. That's very true. Faux designer bags are really good. Any help in knowing if a bag is real? Many of my videos and also information on my website talk about specific characteristics of specific designers, how you can tell and authenticate certain designer bags. The Gucci's, the Louis Vuittons and such. It's on the research pages of our website. There are also a bunch of videos on and coming up about designer bags. And I've talked about designer bags on some of my other videos too. So I hope you'll search the channel right here and watch the videos of that content. And there's more of that coming up too. Yeah. What's a mezzotint? You have a Robert Kipnis piece. Wow, that's great. Robert Kipnis, great artist. A mezzotint, mezzo meaning medium or in the middle. Mezzotints were introduced in the early part prior to 1700, but they came of age in the early part of the 1750s by artists in Europe. Mezzotints are those in-between prints. They're trying to actually look like a painting, and they're quite painterly, but they are still printed and they are still produced in mass numbers. So they call it a mezzotint or a medium tint, mezzo, like a mezzo soprano, right? So a mezzotint is a relatively popular piece. Robert Kipnis, good artist. Saw on your Instagram that you thrifted on Cape Cod. Yes, I did. Yes, I did. I love old Cape Cod. Any plans to post a thrift with me video from that trip? There are lots of plans. There's lots to be done. You know, it's not immediate. So there's editing to be done, and there's also my review to be done. But yes, I definitely plan to, of course, show you information from that trip and others. There's lots of Thrift With Me videos that, of course, have been posted. So if you've missed the others, I suggest that you check those out too, right here on the channel. Yeah, it's terrific. I was just not looking to resell anything. Well, you don't have to resell anything. You could buy everything for yourself. I think that's a great idea. Treat yourself. I just don't know where the markings or the indicators are on things to know what they are or who made them. I know, Tam, this is why I have a channel. This is exactly what I'm doing. I'm showing you. Where do you look? What does this mean? All the information, I'm giving it to you, all of it. What does this mark mean on a print? How do I look for this? What do nails mean on a painting? How do I look for that? Watch the channel, read the website, or take a class and you can ask me straight out. Book a video call. I'm happy to tell you, but sure, I'm telling you all that. And I understand that you don't have to be a reseller. That's fine. You are more than welcome here, more than welcome. Are lapel watches from the early 20th century valuable? Some people do collect them, I have to say. They're kind of cute, a little tiny watch on your lapel. Early 20th century, they were really popular in the 1920s and 30s. You saw a little revival of them in the 1970s. You can tell the difference between those. I would go crazy, always looking, trying to find it. Is it upside down? That would drive me nuts. And I don't like the rings either that are watches. I like a watch, Oh, Cape Cod. I love Cape Cod. I love Cape Cod. It's a little chilly there now. It's getting chilly on Cape Cod. I was there at not chilly time, right? What are you going to say? I like Cape Cod a lot. Hi, Dr. Lori. Carmen and Dave say hello. It's nice to see you guys. Carmen and Dave, long-time Rhode Island-based followers. I love all of you guys, and I'm happy that you're all here with me, and I appreciate that very much. And I'm appreciating the super stickers and the hellos from all over. I hope, of course, if you need my help, you're still watching the channel. And I hope that you're also sharing the channel, telling people about me and what I'm trying to do for you guys. Virginia, thank you so much for your support. Wonderful support. It's really nice to see the community coming together. And I want you all part of the community. There's so much to know and so much to learn from the community as well. Thank you very much, Jennifer, for your show of support. And again, watch the videos. That's two. On the hunt for uranium glass. Okay. Besides using a UV light, any other way of knowing it's uranium glass? You got to look at a lot of uranium glass to recognize it. A lot of it is 1970s reproductions. A lot of it, the obvious color. Is it some more transparent than what? Right? So those are those kinds of clues. But you want to look for the form of the uranium glass. Make sure the form matches the time period. Okay. Sometimes you'll see uranium glass and they're these oversized forms, right? Sometimes you'll see glass that looks like uranium glass because it's kind of this green, this greenish lime color, but it's not uranium glass. So yeah, a lot of people like and collect uranium glass. The market has leveled off. I think you'll see a market correction. It'll start really rising up within the next, I want to say 6 to 8 months. Thank you, Holly, very much for your super chat and super sticker. It helps me, it helps us, and it helps me to help you. So that's what I like about it. And thank you for hitting the like buttons. Yes, all of that matters. I know the computers like all this stuff, so that's great. I like it when you watch, because when you watch, you learn stuff that helps you to succeed. That's what I like. So watch the channel. Can uranium glass look like frosted glass? Not usually. Doesn't really look like frosted glass the way I'm thinking of frosted glass. So you might think of frosted glass a different way, but the way I'm thinking of frosted glass, uranium glass doesn't really look like frosted glass. Uranium glass has its own look. The UV light, if you wanted to do that on our specials and shop page, I do get compensation if you buy a product through our specials and shop page. But basically, the UV light is really an easy way for you to just spot it. You just go through, you're looking at all the glass, you go through the light and boom, you're going to see it. But make sure once you see that piece of uranium glass that you are looking at a piece that's an old piece and not a new reproduction, because you won't sell for as well. But if you like it, then you like it. And there's nothing wrong with buying what you like. Well, as long as it's good quality. Sunny Las Vegas. You look like a sunny person, Sunny. Do you have any future plans to visit Las Vegas? Well, I do have future plans to visit Las Vegas. And as many of you know, I appear on the History Channel's Pawn Stars Do America. They are based in Las Vegas. But I've been to Las Vegas once. I have to admit, I've been all over the world. And once, I was only in Las Vegas once. I was speaking at a conference. It was a hoot of a time. How do you not like Las Vegas? It was really, really fun. We'll have to show you some pictures of me in Las Vegas. It was a lot of fun. I had a great time in Las Vegas, so I can see why people love it there. Will, I can remember a lot of stuff, and a lot of it is also laying the foundation. People think, oh, it's an amazing memory. It's partially that, but it's also laying the foundation of what characteristics are we looking for? I can teach it to you. I can. So you just got to watch the channel and stay with me. So thank you very much. It's nice to see all of you, and I appreciate all of your kind comments, all of your kind comments. So thank you very much for your super chats and super stickers. Does lead in dinnerware affect its value? Well, I have to say that a lot of people will look for dinnerware that has lead content, which is a lot of the older dinnerware. And some of them are not looking for it to actually eat off of it, so they're not concerned about that. They just want to display it. So they don't have as much concern about lead. Does it affect the value? There's been conversation about it, but I have to say that typically when it comes to that, if somebody really loves a fiesta ware or an early 20th century dinnerware set, they're going to collect it. The market is not going to really fall down, like get lowered for lead content. But you need to know if you have lead, because a lot of you might have grandma's dinnerware. And I've talked about this and I've written articles about this in my syndicated column too. A lot of that dinnerware goes out on your holiday table and you don't realize that you shouldn't be eating off some of it. So it can leach, but mainly it leaches if there is damage to it. So remember that. Please talk a bit about variation in Limoges oyster plates. I've had some unmarked plates that match Haviland, but they have different paintings. Okay. So here's the situation about Limoges and oyster plates in general. Oyster plates are those plates which usually have maybe 6, maybe even as many, between 5 and 8 areas for an oyster to be on a plate, with a small well in the middle of the ceramic plate. Usually it's porcelain, for either a cocktail sauce or a clam. Sometimes there's a clam in the middle of that presentation. It could be oysters Rockefeller, which has cheese and spinach, right, with the oysters, or it could just be oysters on the half shell. All right. So having said that, the plates can be molded or formed in a different way. They can be decorated in different ways, and sometimes they're decorated by different ceramists or hand-painted studio artists who are paid by the manufacturer to paint each plate. Sometimes the plates are blank and they're painted by maybe members of your family or others. So yes, it's possible for your piece to be unmarked and to be manufactured by one of those manufacturers like HL or Haviland for Limoges. It's unusual that Haviland is going to miss marking a plate, but it does happen. And you wanted to know about the variations of the hand painting. It varies by, there could be all these different ceramist studio painters employed by a particular manufacturer, and they're all painting, little scenes, little beach scenes on this plate, or maybe they're painting different colors on this plate. Every single person's different. Every single painter's different. So the plates come out a little differently. Oyster plates in general, if you see them, and I've told you this on Real Bargains, grab them because they're valuable. So the ones that are made in Limoges, France, which is one of the best places for the source, of course, of the clay for the porcelain, very important. Hi, Celia. M. Rummy paintings, anything worth appraising? I need to see the M. Rummy paintings, because there's a couple of different artists with Rummy as the last name. It's spelled differently. So I'd like to see which ones you have, because you may have a work of art that's trying to look like the work of another artist. You might have one that's spelled incorrectly, which usually indicates an artist who's trying to fraudulently produce works in an artist's manner. You might have an unmarked piece, but I'd have to see it first. And then I always say this: submit the picture to the website where the little photo icon is that I showed you before. And then if you have the situation where you're saying, oh, I don't know if it's going to be worth it, I'm going to tell you if it's not worth the cost of the appraisal. I don't want to do the appraisal and have you pay for an appraisal that's not worth the cost of the appraisal. So I do that as a rule. So submit it. If it's not worth the cost of the appraisal, I'm going to tell you that. I don't know. You have nothing to lose. I really enjoy your channel, especially when you go to the thrift stores. Well, great. I'm glad that you're enjoying the channel, especially when I go to the thrift stores. I hope you're enjoying the channel all the other times when I've worked so hard to produce all of these other videos that are not the thrift stores, that will teach you all kinds of things about how you can succeed when you're at the thrift stores. But if you like the thrift store videos, great. I'm doing them. Keep watching them and share them, and that will be great. So I appreciate that very, very much. Yeah, there's not a lot of voodoo in appraisals if you're not trying to make a buck for yourself. So the people who are doing the voodoo are probably trying to make a buck for yourself, in my opinion, if they're doing appraisals. And then, oh, I can buy it, sell it for you, I can buy it from you, oh, whatever it might be. So that's what we see there. On what websites do you recommend to sell vintage collectible buttons? I talk about this in my selling class because I go through a four-part selling class, and I talk about all the different types, many of the different types of actual platforms and where the best ones are to sell all different types of things. We also talk about those kinds of questions. I answer those kinds of questions in my appraisals class, which is the class with appraisals, also popular, and you get to get all the information from the whole community in those classes too. Buttons sell very well on certain sites. Always remember, anytime you can connect your object with other things like it, so buttons sell well with quilts and with fabrics and with textiles and with the sites that relate. So don't forget about relatables, as I like to call them. Thank you, Anne, very much for your support, and I appreciate all of your support for all of you. Hey, you want to know the information about that Fenton piece that I found, of course, in the Cobb Antique Mall? Well, this is the Fenton basket. It is a beautiful teal blue. It has a ruffled collar, and it's on my community tab and also on the Facebook page. It's a great basket. It's in beautiful shape. Notice the handle and notice the characteristic of the handle, which is, of course, a bamboo form. That's a very rare handle, especially the size of it. It's beautiful. It was priced at $45, which was a bargain because based on actual sales records where a similar piece sold, one sold for $55. So you better stick with me because I'm going to show you where the real value, the real market is. I'm Dr. Lori. Good to be with all of you. I'll see you next time.